Well, it's a long time since August. Welcome to the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. We're here in Florida, ready to go. 40 minutes on the board, plus another 20 for group practice. Welcome to the opening round of the 2026 NTT INDYCAR season. Well, hello everybody. Welcome up to the commentary box. Here we go then, set and ready for a whole new year of INDYCAR action. In 2025, Alex Palou dominated everything, winning 8 Grand Prix of the 17. Now, he won the championship by over 200 points, but it's all changed coming into this year. A load of field changing ahead. Joseph Newgarden, he is going to be heading out in garage number 1 at the end of the pit lane, but it's still Alex Palou who is number 1 to beat here. Brand new drivers, we're looking at one of them there as well. Mick Schumacher coming in, and then Will Power's now racing at a different team. It is all change here, and that's definitely going to be the interesting factor about it. Come on, hopefully they'll kick in, and there we go. Took a while to get our new systems up and running, so we get going, but we're all set. We're ready to go. A few minutes time, the green light will come on, and we'll be underway for this session. Will Power, here he is then, driving the number 26 Andretti. He's changed over. Fingers crossed, it's going to be quite an interesting run. Okay, well, let's head down and join Fox Sports. As we get ready for the first practice session for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg to get underway. Will?
And it's a happy 2026 to our international viewers as well. Hello, international viewers. Welcome to the show. Welcome to St. Pete. It's a fairly grey, dreary day.
I mean, by St. Pete standards, you could argue that for sure. It's still warm and Florida humid. I got to tell you, it's inside these race cars. The heat is one thing. It's the humidity, as they say, that really gets you. And ever since we introduced the aero screen, you can really feel that humidity inside these race cars more than ever. St. Pete, one of the most humid races of the year. So the drivers are going to be happy that the sun's behind some clouds, but hopefully the rain holds off. There is some on the radar, but a little bit further away. Hopefully we can get through this session clean.
Louis Foster coming back for his sophomore season here in the IndyCar series. Had 1 pole position last year. Just needs to get his race pace together in 2026. Team feeling very good coming into the season. There's Scott McLaughlin. We'll be talking a lot more about him, not just in this session, but I'm sure this season. And there is a familiar face back on the stand at Penske. Tim Cindric marks a return to the team that he left not more than 3/4 of a year ago.
I love this story because you see the name behind Tim Cindric, McLaughlin. We talked to Scotty Mack in the offseason, and he has clearly cherry-picked the best of the best inside Team Penske for this 2026 season, and he is a driver that I have already circled and said, watch out for a championship run from number 3.
2 pole positions already here in St. Petersburg. Can he make it 3 to start 2026?
Well, that is going to be the question as we're getting all set then for this one. And
His mastery
there we go.
Continued. Let's celebrate this guy. And Alex Palou wins again. It's the Palou Show.
Sensational.
Sports history being written right in front of our eyes.
Alex Palou is a 4-time IndyCar champion. A 4-time champion he now is. Can he make it 5 in 6 years? Can he make it 4 in a row? Time will tell. Almost ready to get running here in St. Pete. Let's throw down to Georgia Hennebury, who's standing by next to that number 10.
Well, Will, let me say, it feels so good to be back. You talk about the humidity. You can definitely feel it down here, but it's a gorgeous day down here in St. Pete, and we're ready to get the season kicked off. I'm here in pit stall number 1, and rightfully so, because it's Alex Palou's championship last year, a championship the year before that, and a championship the year before that, a 4-time champion. And I talked to Ricky Davis, asking them what their plan was this year, and he said it's to get better. And if you're anyone in the field, you don't want to hear that. He said they all got together after the championship last year. They said, we won 8 races, yay, but guess what? We lost 9. How do we get better from that? And today is the start of that for the 2026 season for Alex Palou.
Green light, we're underway here in St. Petersburg. Time to get the session underway. What are we going to see here for this season? As the green light will go on, the cars will head out onto the circuit, and we are underway. Here's Alex Palou. So many victories he's got this year as well. Remember, the green flag won't go on until the drivers cross the finish line, and we'll go for INDYCAR 2026. Don't forget, after this, we've got the NASCAR Craftsman's Truck Series practice and qualifying. There's so much more to do.
Seconds of rain that took away, wiped away, washed away the lead in Milwaukee. There was a lot of opportunity still for that team to have performed even better.
Everyone making it out on track, or at least attempting to make it out on track as soon as this session begins, because, guys, there is rain in the air. No guarantee it will hit, but if it does, everybody wants to get out on track as early as possible and get some knowledge of this circuit.
Yeah, about 1:35 local time right now here in St. Pete, and last I checked, it was showing maybe sprinkles around 2 o'clock. So the question I have already is for some of the rookies in this field, like Mick Schumacher, what do they do if rain comes? Because we don't think it's going to rain tomorrow, James, during qualifying. Doesn't look like it's going to rain on Sunday. Do you start to take a risk with the rookie and get them mileage, but in very treacherous conditions?
Yeah, I mean, rain around a street circuit, always tough, guys. I mean, it has to be just the right amount of rain. It's so easy to be too much here. They'll red flag it. They won't let the cars run for standing water and spray. So I think it's hopefully a situation where we're not going to have to deal with it. We can see right now, 73 degrees. It's cloudy, but no rain in the area yet.
No rain,
Townsend touched on it. We have 3 rookies in the series this year. Mick Schumacher, of course, former F1 driver, Formula World Endurance Championship driver, making his way over to the NTT INDYCAR Series for RLL. And then 2 of the standout drivers from last year's Indy Next Championship. Dennis Hauger, the Norwegian Nightmare. What a dominant campaign he ran in 2025. He moves up to INDYCAR alongside his rival, Kaio Collet. Collet with Foyt and Hauger with Dale Coyne Racing. And I cannot wait to see how each of those 3 gets on. But in particular, this guy, who turned up here last year as a rookie in the Indy Next Championship, took the pole, took the win. Loves this track.
Yeah, huge talent, ton of experience with Dennis Hauger in Europe in F2. And, you know, James, this is a season where normally I'd say with rookie battles, we circle 1 or 2. And oftentimes there's one where we say this should be the standout this year. With these 3 rookies, with Hauger, Collet, and Schumacher, I could argue easily any of the 3 of those for a multitude of reasons.
Let's take a look at our rookie class for 2026.
Obviously, starting with Dennis Hauger, we talked about that Indy Next Championship that he won in dominant fashion last year for Andretti. Kaio Collet ran him all the way to the end of the season as best he could. And, of course, Mick Schumacher, 2 years in Formula One, moved over to the World Endurance Championship on the sports car side, now making his IndyCar debut, something that everybody is excited about, himself, the team, the fans. It's going to be interesting, fascinating to watch what Mick can do, how he gets up to speed. And I've already heard that Graham Rahal has really taken him under his wing, taking that leadership role in this race team and trying to get Mick up to speed as quickly as possible.
Talking to the guys at the team, they've been so impressed with the way in which Mick has approached his preseason testing, how he's approached working with the team, his feedback, his intelligence, but more than anything, his commitment to racing in IndyCar.
And I think also leadership. And we talked a little bit yesterday with Graham Rahal, and one of the things that I'll take away from that conversation was his appreciation for how Mick shows up every morning, greets every member of the team, even those that aren't on his car. It's a 3-car team at Rahal. And, you know, Will, you spent so much time when his father raced in Europe, and his father was famous for quietly, without anybody knowing, being that kind of know everybody on the team, embrace every member of the organization sort of personality, and it's great to see that passed on here to Mick.
Just like his old man.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Michael would do. We're not going to miss this livery. It's great. The Brazilian colors for Kaio Collet. Foyt going all out this year. Santino Ferrucci's livery very much the Stars and Stripes, and Collet carrying his national.
Yeah, sorry, just to correct you, we've got a red flag now out on the circuit. So I presume this might be due for some weather in the area, but a red flag command has been given.
Dennis Hauger dominated, but there was an asterisk in that Hauger had so much F2 experience and high horsepower Formula cars. And I thought Kyle Collette, as you said, Will, did an awesome job. And our time in the preseason spent with Collette, I just came away super impressed, James, with sort of how in touch he is with the challenge of this year and how prepared, frankly, he is for it.
And I'll tell you what I like about this rookie right here. 23 years old. That's not the kind of rookie we see coming out of Indy Next at 18, 19 years old. This kid's got some maturity, he's got some experience, and I think when you jump into the big series, having that little extra edge, you know, that little bit of maturity, those extra years of racing under your belt can really serve you very well. As right now we sit under red conditions for debris on the racetrack.
Oh,
Do you guys
where's that
remember
come from then?
having a chat with him a couple of weeks ago in Indianapolis, and when he left the room and we'd had that conversation, walked out, we said, who does he remind you of at that age, coming straight into IndyCar for the first time? And the name that everybody said was, he's got a little bit of Alex Palou.
There was debris apparently on the racing line between turn 3 and 4, a metal cylinder. That's why we had a red flag.
Going to say he's going to go on and win 4 titles in 5 years. That would be a lofty thing to achieve, but he has that little Palou-ish element to him.
Just like Alex Palou, his rookie year, Kyle Collette has a sponsor in Combitrans that totally believes in his talent, is giving him all the support he needs. This guy, Alex Palou, had the exact same thing. Coming over from Japan, Team Go, I believe, was the program over there. They backed him to come to IndyCar, and it just gives you stability in that first very critical season to make a few mistakes and know that you've got not just the team, but the sponsor behind you as well for the long term.
Green flag, 10 car on track. Georgia Henry, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you Pat Lord sits on pit lane while the crew attends to the car. Just some checks right now, but what I did learn earlier today, half of that pit crew is new on that team, including 3 of the 4 tire changers. They've been trying to practice at the tests and whatnot, but as we know in IndyCar, pit stops make or break your weekend. I talked to Pato about just how important this is going to be, that everyone hits their marks this weekend. Like I said, make or break, guys. So a big weekend for them, a lot of new mixed with an established team, and we'll see how it plays out.
Thank you, Georgia.
Georgia down there.
So first green flag lap completed for Alex Palou. It's 1:38.0.
Time slowly getting faster out here as well.
One
which
of the
is
other
nice to see.
interesting things I found talking to all the drivers pre-season was in 2025, you asked the IndyCar field whether they thought they could beat Alex Palou, and all of them thought, yeah, it's achievable, it's doable. This year, you asked them that same question, they're a little more realistic about it. They know the challenge, and the challenge will only have got harder over the winter. Alex Palou will have returned stronger, faster, better. How do you beat him?
Well, many don't think he is beatable. That's the weird thing. As Palou comes over the line, he's got the fastest time at the moment with a... Well, this is just showing me the wrong data speed, actually. This is showing an oval. I need a different circuit tracker to come into it, so hopefully we'll have that operational soon. But, yeah, so we've got the wrong graphic open on our screen, but Palou has done fastest lap time from Simpson and Siegel in that run. You're hearing him now on the backstretch, still looking very, very strong.
These guys out early. I like seeing Palou get out there, get on with the program. So often you see the beginning of this first practice really dominated by the rookie runners. Of course, the rookies get that extra set of Firestone tires to use in this first session. Usually guys like the Penskes and the Ganassis like seeing a couple cars go out there and clean the track up, but no, our defending champion, our reigning champion, is out there already pounding around. You see David Malucas in the new colors.
Those looking strong,
this guy
actually.
right here that everybody's chasing. Not much has changed in the series, so there's not much reason to think that this 10 team isn't going to hit the ground running. But remember, we talk about things they could do better. This race last year, they were not the fastest car.
No.
They were a 4th place car, but Joseph Newgarden had problems, Scott Dixon had problems, Colin Herta had problems, and they just executed well and ended up with the win.
Let's take a look at this issue with the 19 of Dennis Hauger.
So it was Hauger in the 19. That's where the metal cylinder bounced off on the run down towards the braking zone in turns 3 and 4. So that is where the sort of apex has come from. I understand now as to why we've had that red flag earlier on. A spring on the racetrack can be a very dangerous thing. Remember Schumacher as well, a couple of years ago in Formula 1, hit one, and then, of course, most famously, Felipe Massa. So, still under the moment with Malucas 104.006. He's top of the moment.
The red flag that we were under just moments ago, the reason you will see the smallest piece fly off his car, just out the back there, and it looks, Townsend and James, like a spring has come loose from that Dale Coyne car.
I thought it was a vape at first, but it appears to be a third spring maybe coming out the back of the suspension there, James.
Interesting thing to happen, but hey, first few laps of the first practice, these things do happen.
Kevin Simpson to the top on a 103.2 from Malucas, Palou, VK, Farici, the early running here. Everybody on the hard tyre. Of course, as always, you have to hand back a set of the soft tyre at the end of the session as we get our first view of Mick Schumacher out on track, sliding around, getting the power down, and a replay here of him just having a little lock up and a little run deep.
It's over in turn 8, but wisely taking advantage of the very short runoff. Just a little bit of an inside tire lockup, and then, as you pointed out in the live shot, getting squirrely out of turn 10 with the power down. So Schumacher exploring the limits early.
Nicely executed turn on a dime.
Oh, yeah.
Schumacher. Not an easy thing to do in a car that you are completely unfamiliar with, on a track you've never driven on, in what is ostensibly a very narrow escape run.
And you got to wonder, in any of the very limited testing that Schumacher's had before the start of the season, was that on a punch list, a checklist somewhere from Jay Fry and the organization, like, hey, let's take a runoff here, and I just want you to practice a 180. It wouldn't be unlike any of the teams to think ahead, and let's think of a checklist of things that might not seem obvious for a new driver, but very valuable to hit in the offseason if you can.
Got some lockups down the first corner. Will Power in the 26 on the inside line. Just catching the front right. He's got the TWG sponsorship that you'll see on Andretti's cars in both Formula E, INDYCAR, and also in Formula 1 with Cadillac now being on the power. Malucas is top. Now Venus VK goes to the top. 102.1793 to 4,000ths of a second. And Power again looking up, coming downhill into the backstretch, turn 9. So all looking stronger and stronger so far.
How he's finding it in a brand new team, because he spent nearly 2 decades with Penske, and now he's changing organizations. He's got a different engine provider in the back of the car. How different is that for him? And he said, you know what, it's been almost effortless. It's just seemed like such and for him, he said, a move at exactly the right time. He turns 45 this weekend. He says he feels like he's 20 years old still. He has as much fire, as much desire as he has ever had, and he's able to bring so much of that experience that he has. First champion this team has run in half a decade, and that could be the thing that unlocked the potential this team has shown for so many years.
One of the things I'll be looking for with Will Power is which personality wins on any given weekend in terms of priority. Is it beating Team Penske or winning an IndyCar in the moment? And I think it depends on who's in front of him and where he's running in those races, because the takeaway from our preseason discussion with Will was that it's very heavily in the beat Team Penske camp right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fascinating thing with him, isn't it? This weekend, certainly to the media and in public, he's very measured on that. It's not a revenge tour. I'm here, I'm still excited, I want to go out, I want to win. Okay. Well,
sure. Yeah. A cool story. and speaking of that, David Malucas in the 12 car is currently at the top of the pylon, and I believe we had him on camera having a little moment there out at turn 8, so close to the walls already. Bunch of understeer in 9.
Oh, you gotta like that.
That is perfect.
You gotta love that to kick off the 26th season for Malucas. He won, I think, on day 1 at the Phoenix Short Oval Open Test. He He's P1 now, and he's doing it with the kind of confidence behind the wheel that is consistent with a new Team Penske hire. I love what I just saw from Malucas.
It's a Penske, at least a Penske 1-2. Now Remus VK jumps up to the top of the times for Hunkos Hollinger Racing. Big move for him in the off-season, announcing very quickly after the end of the year that he would be moving on. And has found a very happy home there, really quick at the Sebring test. VK, top of the times. But Malucas second, McLaughlin third, then Rossi fourth, and Rossi somebody we will be talking about in a little more depth as this practice session goes on. The ECR team have done a huge amount of work, put a huge amount of investment in over the winter. We'll talk about that in a little while, but Rossi currently fourth, then Ericsson and Simpson with top six.
So guys, there's...
Oh, got a red flag. Don't know why as of yet, but the red flag has come out, so the session is suspended. Can't see anyone who's stopped on the circuit. Oh, hang on, there we go. Straight down. That's Alexander Rossi. That's out of turn 4, and he's now blocked the track. So the red flag's come out. There's a refire of the engine. Dixon's going to get through there. Santino Ferrucci was there. Ferrucci got blocked up by, but the 20 spinning around. So red flag comes out. Let's have a look. So comes down on the inside into the braking zone at 4. Ria's going to step out onto him. And, well, 9 times out of 10, that's where you're going, I'm afraid. You're going to end up in a little bit of contact because there's nowhere else to go. At that point of the circuit, you're always going to go into a spin and have a problem. So, unfortunately, we've got our first red flag of the session. Well, second red flag of the session, really. But first time when it stopped meaningful running because everyone else was in the pit lane. And they want some decent lap times there as the cars have returned to the pit lane and hopefully get everything sorted soon. So, red flag out as we'll send it back down and join the international feed as Will Buxton will take it in as well alongside the team. Trying to save my voice for me during MotoGP earlier on. A little bit of a laryngitis issue. So it's not 100% if you look at Christian Lundgaard from Denmark watching on. Will. So still under red flag here as we wait. Hopefully we'll have our session resumed shortly. For the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Just a reminder, we've got the NASCAR Craftsman's Truck Series session coming up soon. Same part of the circuit here at St. Pete next week. We team up with INDYCAR as well. Green flag, the circuit is back underway. So they're going to head back out now onto the circuit, which is fantastic news. Hopefully this is going to go well. As the drivers now come out onto the circuit. It's revving up right now for this 66. VK is at the top at the moment of this session. As we continue on here. As things stand in the NTT INDYCAR Series at St. Petersburg. Yeah, that'll do. See Pelot's in 14th, he's gone out on the circuit, so is Armstrong in 66, watching him now. Coming down the brakes. Ward, Dixon and Lundgaard also have ventured back out there onto the circuit. It's nice to be back, isn't it? Nice to be back. Ward's done, well, that's the first time for Pato, actually. Dixon and Lundgaard as well, saying their personal best because they haven't yet run a lap time. With 22 minutes 38 to go. VK still at the top, 101.9045. As they push on now. And that's some work being done to the front and the rear. So that's brake pedals being done as well. That's Fox.
I feel strange. It is way more difficult than being here as an owner.
Who's the best driver in the world?
You're rewarded for aggression in an IndyCar. Fell asleep, crashed off the road.
You fell asleep while you were
driving?
Do you think NASCAR drivers get the international recognition that they should?
I got my first decent check, and I went and bought like some stupid fast pickle fork boat.
I remember that.
Speed is back, folks. We're even back in the Charlotte studios. Wonderful, our first week back on air this week. Myself, Kevin Harvick bringing you all the week's motor racing news and a weekly interview. Fueled by Poet, we are so honored to be bringing the speed name back to the motor racing world, and hope you guys will follow along.
So let me understand this. Jimmy Johnson fell asleep in an off-road truck race?
Yeah, at the Baja.
How is that possible?
I'm not entirely sure how that works. I feel
he
like
fell asleep and drove off the edge of a cliff.
No, that part I understand. Well, how do you fall asleep?
He was exhausted.
Well, yes, no, I kind of get that in theory.
James and I have been exhausted many times in a 24-hour race.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I'm usually on the graveyard shift for the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And
he goes into it in great detail in a wonderful book called My Greatest Defeat, published by Evero Publishing. Currently available from all good bookstores, written by me.
And he's here this weekend. He's here this weekend hosting an event tonight. Well, you're hosting it, James, tonight, but Jimmy's putting it on, and going to have some fun with Dario Franchitti and yourself racing in the truck race tomorrow here on Fox. I mean,
Jimmy's not just here having fun with Dario.
He's
on his team.
He's the
crew chief.
Yeah, I don't know about crew chief, but he's definitely.
I think I heard assistant crew chief.
I think that works. Assistant crew chief on the stand.
Are you pumped?
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. It's going to be super exciting. We'll see what the weather does. It's going to make it interesting.
Are you feeling, I mean, you won here in St. Pete in INDYCAR. Are you feeling like an expert going into this?
I'm feeling like a track expert, but a truck novice. And
track rich, truck poor?
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. So with Dario and myself both in that same sort of boat, it's going to be interesting to see whether it's track knowledge that has the advantage early or truck knowledge that has the advantage early. We'll see.
You guys had a chance to test a few weeks ago in Florida. What was Dario like? I mean, it's been a long time since he's been in the fire of competition. What was his spirit like when he jumped out?
You say that, man. He's been doing a lot of vintage racing.
I know.
Which is steel brakes and H-pattern gearboxes. So he was right up to speed.
He's primed.
He had a big smile on his face, man. For a guy that's done a lot, raced a lot, won a lot, he is very excited about his truck debut.
Tell you what, I think Rinus VeeKay is going to have a big smile on his face right now, setting really quick sector times around the track. He is a 101.904, top of the pile at the moment. What a great start. And okay, we're not far into the season yet, but a great start to his testing, a great start to his relationship with JHR, and quick from the outset. Rinus VeeKay, who had a podium last year, and just wanted to find himself in a position where he could take a team forward. And I know JHR already are loving having him as part of their team.
Pretty cool. He's got an engineer named Townsend helping to deliver the speed out of the gate here.
Solid, good name.
Townsend Lucas. Not a lot of us.
Yeah, you were pretty shocked. You were pretty taken aback when you learned that little factoid.
I mean, I think I've met one other Townsend around the globe.
Were they in motorsports?
They were not.
Well, two of the three of you are.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? Just under 19 minutes left on the clock. Remember, guys, for practice, it's a little different this year. Last year, we had this format where the first 40 minutes were an all-skate. All cars are on track. Then for the last 20, it's 2 10-minute sessions. The cars alternating pit boxes. As we see his wife, Carmen, watching on. But, so yeah, at 0, all cars will come in. The first group will go out for 10 minutes, and the second group will get 10 minutes. That was just a first practice format last year. For 2026, IndyCar's going to do that both for first practice and second practice on Saturday morning. Rookies allowed to run both of the second sessions, both of those 10-minute segments in the first practice only, as they do have that extra set of Firestone tires that you get for being a rookie. And now we see Scott McLaughlin and Christian Rasmussen, two of the most exciting drivers in the field, nose to tail here. Rasmussen getting that first win in a spectacular fashion at Milwaukee late last year. And Townsend, you already talked about Scotty Mack coming into this season absolutely hungry to make it happen.
Oh, yeah. And like I talked about earlier, cherry picking in the offseason quietly like a sniper, taking the best of the best, I think, with Team Penske and kind of building this dream team, including bringing Tim Cindric over to his timing stand. You know, controversial a bit in the paddock, but for Scotty Mack, he said that's the best guy that I could have on the stand to help strategically win more races. As we see Tim Cindric, nice to see him back at the helm there, doing what he does best, which is calling the race for his drivers. Was with Newgarden for so many years, delivered so many amazing strategic wins, and now Scotty Mack has got a full quiver.
What I love about what Scott's done over the winter is he has taken the team by the scruff of the neck. You know, in the midst of a power vacuum, given the management changes that happened last year, losing essentially the team leader in Will Power, moving over to Andretti, there was the opportunity for one of the established drivers, be it Joseph or Scott, to take a grip of the team, take a handle of it, really become that team leader. And that's what Scott has stepped into, as you say, manipulating and moulding the team that he wanted around him, putting his arm around Mike.
That was so sketch right there. Rinus VeeKay goes too wide through turn 11 and 12, and I think there was either some indecision from Scotty Mack, like he lifted to get a gap, and then VeeKay was going to press it. But James, that could be a massive shunt. Even in just this first practice, the marbles can grow quite easily to the outside line, and that was too close for comfort if I'm Scotty Mack.
We saw McLaughlin back off at that section earlier on the previous lap. That was when Christian Rasmussen went around him. And the reason they do that is the alternate start-finish line where the lap times are ultimately start and stopped in practice and qualifying is right on that little straight just after turn 12. But let's take another look here. So Scotty's backing off from Rasmussen to try to get that gap. And right there, as you say, no indecision from Rinus on that one.
Yeah. You can't have.
That was dicey.
Super
Sketch
dicey.
to quite sketch.
We'll be covering Sketch Factor in more detail as the season rolls on, but
Do we have a graphic for that yet?
we're working on it. Yeah. Short oval special, inspired by Rasmussen last year at Milwaukee. Sketch Factor is alive and well and in development.
Well, the clock has ticked over past 2 p.m. local time. There is no sign yet of Townsend's sprinkling of rain. We wait in deep anticipation. Meanwhile, Alex Palou and Scott Dixon, the Ganassi duo, are 1-2. Marcus Armstrong in the Ganassi 8 in MSR is third. VeeKay, Malucas, Award, year 6. We'll be back.
Yes, they will be back as things stand. Alex Palou still red flag again. Another red flag now being brought out onto the circuit. What's this one for then? Another car in the runoff down at turn 10. It was Louis Foster. Course is clear. Track remains green and off into the barrier goes Joseph Newgarden down at the braking zone for the final corner. He's gone too far in deep and has brought out the red flag. He's into the O'Reilly Auto Parts barrier, which, of course, with NASCAR being here, that's the case. But it's a red flag, and all cars back in, and Newgarden bins it. He was 9th fastest on our run, just did a best lap time, 1:02.0465. And, yeah, just got off of that last corner. Now, I wonder how that has happened. If he looks at it, so he must have turned in. The rear's locked up. I wonder if he's even tried to make the entry of the corner. But the red flag comes out. The AMR safety team are there in order to get him back in position. But session now suspended. And all cars will return into pit lane. And we will wait to go again in this one. But yeah, red flag's out then here. Might even get him back in under his own speed. Oh yeah, that's an option too, by the way. Might just get it back okay. It's going to be a bit tricky, but it might just work out for him. As the session is now suspended. Everyone was on the black primaries as far as I could tell. Got a replay of how it happened. So comes in through to the last corner. Rhea steps out. Has he spun round under acceleration? Well, there's Ferrucci going through. Yeah, oh, so he's gone backwards. Just hits the curb on the entry. Rhea steps out. He enters the final hairpin backwards and spins it back round to the grass into the wall. So that's a simple thing to happen. With 12 minutes to go before that split session, we're now into the red flag procedure. So the cars will have to wait as our third red flag and 5.5 minutes spent under it. This is our first one for an actual accident. Back to Fox and
Welcome
Will.
back to St. Pete, where we are under red flag. That is the car of Joseph Newgarden, and that is the final corner, which he arrived at pretty much backwards. I think he's managed to keep it pretty much out of the barriers. but he's stuck in gear and can't get going. This is where he begins to lose it. The rear starts to step out, and you'll see there, he turns the wheel to try to catch it and is already backwards and over the curbs.
But it doesn't, it looks like the dirt did its job slowing the car down.
I think he managed to avoid the barrier completely.
But he hasn't been able to restart the car. Normally with the hybrid system, you can fire it back up. We saw him stuck in gear as the safety team rolled him back and forth.
And guys, I think he was in a little bit of a normal slip angle, but this left front, watch this, it just clips that apex and gets the car to take a little bit of a hop, and he was already in a nice four-wheel slip slide, but that just tipped it over.
Newgarden gets going again. We'll make it back to pit lane. We'll have to serve a penalty for that, but the car looks to be in one piece.
Yeah, car's in one piece, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a good run, because he'll now have to serve, say, a penalty for bringing out the red flags. And, well, with time on the board, it's not what you want to have here, as Alex Palou still is top. All cars now back into pit lane as we wait to see what's going to happen next. 262 laps total time. Only been green, though, for 23 minutes and 36 seconds. We've now spent 7 minutes and 20 under the red flag time, as you can tell on the data screens now in front of us. As they begin by jetting off with some of the water and air guns. It's, you know, the water gun that we put in for the fuel, just cleaning up the side of the car, which has got all of the dust on it and all that muck. Get it cleaned and then serve the penalty and head back out. We'll have more. We will have more practice time following this, so we're not completely on our own. New brake pad's going to, I think, get put in between ahead of practice 2 tomorrow. That would be my assumption. Green flag though, so we are good to head back out onto the circuit. So we are returned to action with 9.5 minutes to go of running. Well, that means we'll get the full 9.5 minutes is a different matter. You know how treacherous it has been the last couple to have an attack run here with some of them. But we are underway, and the field now return out onto the circuit. Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, Venus VK, David Malucas, Pato O'Ward, Christian Lundgaard, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Felix Rosenkrantz, and Alexander Rossi as the top 10. Then it's Louis Foster, Marcus Ericsson, Kevin Simpson.
Well, Joseph Newgarden back on pit lane and out of his car will be serving his 5-second penalty, 5-minute penalty, apologies, for creating that red flag. Need we remind you of the nightmare that was the 2025 season for Team Penske? No driver higher than 9th in championship, worst since 1999, 15 DNFs. They did, however, pull out 2 wins in the final 3 races. Of course, Will Power and Joseph Newgarden getting those 2 victories.
Doesn't matter, man. When you've got that number on your scorecard, you could have 10 wins. It doesn't really matter. 15 DNFs among 3 cars, averaging 5 apiece. That is, I mean, that's championship suicide. You cannot compete in a championship this competitive with more than, I'd say, 1 really bad result with the way that Scott Dixon or Alex Palou performs.
And in a season that difficult, you look to, okay, well, who still did the best? It was Will Power, and then he squeaks away to Andretti. So it's going to be on the reset combination here, including Penske rookie. Not a rookie in INDYCAR, but a rookie to Team Penske here, Malucas, who has looked very comfortable right away, Kevin, out of the gate. The way he was driving suggested he feels right at home in these new surroundings.
One of the very big storylines is how would David Malucas settle in. Before we talk about David a little bit, I want to show you the pit stand for Team Penske, and something that we've noticed a little bit different here. And by the way, there's Travis Law, the competition director, but what he's looking at in front of is a much larger monitor for the strategists to be able to have a better look at information instead of looking back over to the timing stand. So this is something that we're all copycats, so I think we'll probably start seeing that on other pit stands. He's not only got a television monitor, but he's got a lot of data and the marching ants and telemetry and so forth. Now for Malucas, one of the interesting things when we talked with him a few weeks ago was when he got to the shop for the first time and started kind of digging into things with Team Penske, he realized how much different things are going to be. You are not one for anything. Anything you ask for, you want to make any kind of an adjustment to the steering wheel, the pedals, the cockpit, they will design it exactly the way you want, and he's not really had much of that opportunity before. So he said, that's something that I can really start being a little bit particular about everything that I want. He feels comfortable, and he's off to a good start here so far.
He said he had all the toys at his disposal at Penske. He's the first driver to bring the soft tyre onto his car today, out on track and pushing. Currently fourth fastest.
Oh, don't ruin that softie.
Lock up and probably a flat spot now on that set of softs.
And that's what he was thinking, James, there, rolling the brake off. He's like, I don't want to go off track, but I don't want to flat spot this thing. And you've been in that situation many times like me, and it's that debate with yourself. Save the tire, but don't wreck the car. I've got to use some brake to slow up. So that right front, Firestone just not quite ready for Malucas to push like that into turn 13. You know, when we talked to Malucas in the offseason, as we take another look at the moment, I'll hold off for a second here. Watch that right front. But he does a good job to keep it rolling.
Great job of keeping it rolling, Townsend. I don't think that tire's damaged at all. You've lost a lap, you know, of the good grippy rubber from a new tire, but he still have some meat on that.
That's a kid who did wood shop like in 8th grade and understands how a lathe works. Just to finish on Malucas, you know, we asked him in the preseason interview, Will, you were there, and I said, hey, what was your, like, welcome to Penske moment where you realized, hey, this team has some resources that you're not used to? He said, the moment I walked into the shop for the seat fit, he said, anything I want in the cockpit, they can just make happen. They're willing to do anything for the smallest detail. And you add that up 100, 200 times across every little bit to optimize, that's oftentimes the difference.
He also said pulling on that Verizon suit for the first time was like pulling on a Superman costume. Felt like he was cosplaying, so used was he to seeing Will Plower in that overalls in that car for so many years. With that, though, comes a massive weight of expectation. Let's not forget, still yet to win his first IndyCar race, now racing for one of the most storied teams in the history of this championship. There will be expectation.
Just thinking about Malucas here going to the Reds early, the softer tire. You know, you might ask why. I'm looking at my weather here. It's showing sprinkles maybe in about 15 or 20 minutes, so maybe they're just trying to make sure, hey, let's get a read on it now before we get into sometimes the craziness of those split sessions when everybody's trying to put softs on and get a flyer in.
There's an interesting point to this as well. The soft tire this year is not the same soft that we had last year here in St. Pete. Last year, you remember, it came up to temperature very, very quickly. Had one really good lap in qualifying. In the race, done within 5 laps. This weekend, they have gone harder with the soft tire in order to make it a little more durable. Have they made it too durable? How long will it take to come in? And how different will the lap times be between this soft and the hard? That is the great unknown coming into this weekend, and it's something which David Malucas, already out on track, is trying to ascertain.
That could be another thing, too, James, is Team Penske saying, hey, Malucas, you're going to be the guy to go get that longer run red tire data for the team. And you're a multi-car team. You want to typically make the most of splitting some strategies, even in practice.
Still the only driver out on track on the soft tire is David Malucas. His teammate Scott McLaughlin has gone third on a 101.807 and now goes top on a 101.579. The two-time pole sitter, fastest as it stands.
How about this guy here, Pato O'Ward, looking for another strong season. 2025 was, in a lot of ways for me, a breakout year for Pato. Weird thing to say for a driver that's already won a bunch of IndyCar races, competed for the Indy 500, has been so close so many times, but he's always been really kind of held back by the inconsistencies in the performance of that car, a couple mistakes here and there, but you look back to last season, Pato really cleaned things up, put together what would have been a championship caliber drive in any other season. It just happened to be when Alex Palou was breaking records left, right, and center. So difficult for him, but also a lot of positives to take away from how he and that team performed.
Another big thing this season, which I learned in talking to Pato's teammate Christian Lundgaard, who sits 7th just behind O'Ward, is the impact, the early impact that their Indy 500 teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay has had on their oval program. Hunter-Reay at the Phoenix Open test with O'Ward and Lundgaard. and
that
really gave great feedback as Grosjean went off. So you can't talk about Indianapolis without thinking about Award the last few seasons and almost getting the job done. With Hunter Ray coming in, he's won the race before, all of that impact, James, it could be very exciting for Aaron McLaren with that four-car effort.
McLaren changed base over the off-season as well. A big move for them, big investment from Zach Brown. Of course, the team that has won the last 2 Formula One World Constructors Championship, won the Drivers' Championship last year, hoping that some of that magic rubs off on their IndyCar team and they can take some influence from that in terms of the processes and the work that has led them to a title.
And Tony Kanaan has talked in the offseason about that guy, Nolan Siegel, currently at the bottom of the charts right now, but did not split hairs and was very blunt and said, hey, Nolan Siegel needs to finish top 10 in the points. So I think a lot of pressure on Siegel this season to step up and really match or exceed what Lundgaard and Award have been putting down the last few seasons.
I felt for Nolan. When we talked to him pre-season, he looked like he'd gone 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, he was beaten up.
It's pro sports. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right, James? And we've all been there. You are here at the top level, and you are expected to deliver.
But what I liked about Nolan's chat when we sat with him was he's acutely aware of that. He knows that. He's not here to finish 17th in points. He wants to be in the top 10. He knows that you've got to earn that seat, especially at a team of this caliber. So he's motivated, he's committed, he's doing all the work he can behind the scenes. Team doing what they can to provide him the tools necessary to do it. He's got the support. It's up to him and the team to execute now. And he's got 2 great teammates in Award, and this guy Lundgaard, who started the season last year, his first year with McLaren, so strong. 3 podiums in the first 4 races. He's just really not been able to match Pato on the ovals. That's kind of been the Achilles heel for Lundgaard in the 7 as the checkered flag falls on the all-car session. And we will head into that first group.
And there is Nolan Siegel, a massive year ahead of him. Pressure on from the very beginning. Marcus Armstrong improving on his last lap to go 6th. So it's McLaughlin and Malucas making it a Penske 1-3. Below is 2nd for Ganassi. Ericsson, great opening session for him in 4th. Dixon is 5th. Armstrong 6th. VK, a very impressive 7th. Lundgaard is 8th. Rosenquist makes it both MSR cars in the top 10. And Pato Award, the 2nd McLaren, rounding out the 10. Right, don't go anywhere. More running taking place here in St. Pete. Some soft tyre running as well if the rain doesn't arrive. This man, though, so far, the fastest on the streets. 2-time pole winner, Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, Scotty Mack doing very good then at the front of the field with the 3. 101.5793 at the top of the field. As we end the first part of this practice session. We are going to be going for a lot longer, so stay exactly where you are. Don't go anywhere. We will then have further 10-minute sessions with some soft tyre runs before the end. So that will count for practice 2 now as well on the board. So this data that you see will sort of get reset, and we'll go again for the next part of this practice session. As you can see, Malucas has already got a set of alternative tyres ready to go. He's got that bolted on. But Scotty Mack now will go in. Will now be 2 12-minute sessions closing in for the following session. And looking quite good, actually. Track temperature is at 46 degrees Celsius. Ambient temperature 20 degrees Celsius at the moment. As we're taking a look at this session. So still a good run around. Hopefully we'll get this second session underway shortly. Scott Dixon, 6-time IndyCar winner here at the circuit. As now we're about to have this driver tracker change over for the next group. Group B will head out there on the circuit as well. Let's head back over to Fox Sports. So it's Kyle Collette, Nolan Siegel, Christian Lundgaard, Kiffin Simpson, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, David Malucas, Graham Rahal, Dennis Hauger, Alexander Rossi.
Well, there's no better way to start off an IndyCar season than with a triple header. We start here in St. Pete, then we move to Phoenix, then a brand new race in Arlington. Barber completes the month. 4 races in 5 weeks.
And it doesn't stop there. I mean, this entire 2026 season is going to be so much fun. Of course, we've got the 500 in May. We go to Toronto for a brand new event in Markham, which I'm really excited about. The suburbs there just to the north of the city. And then Washington, D.C., a late add to the schedule in August, celebrating our nation's 250th. The fun is all season long. And this 26 car likely to factor in all of them.
I'm so excited we get an oval back in early in the season.
And a doubleheader with NASCAR as well. It's even better as we take a quick look at the top 10 from the all-car session.
So it's McLaughlin from Palou and Malucas, and Ericsson, Dixon, Armstrong, VK, Lundgaard, Rosenquist, and O'Ward. Interestingly, Marcus Ericsson, the only Andretti driver in that top 10, littered with Ganassis and Penskes, though.
Come back on, say a few words, off they go. It's kind of an interesting situation. I have to sort of keep going on certain aspects of things as well into this one. Not good for somebody who's got laryngitis. And he's just recovering. Literally haven't barely spoken a word all day. This is the most I've spoken since practice for MotoGP this morning. As we will focus now on this afternoon session, getting set together. And yeah, fingers crossed, actually. We're just trying to see if there's any more data we can bring you on the streams at the moment. At the moment, no, is the answer to that. You seem to have everything that we can get hold of here. What do you think, by the way, of the slightly redesigned timing towers for this year? Just with the new top logo as well, using the official websites and just sort of bringing it home for the watch along. We've tried to tidy things up so it's easier across the board as to whoever's doing the commentary this year. So there's a bit of uniformity to the broadcasts as we continue on now, waiting to see what will happen next. That's Alex Palou, and now Palou Award getting their tyres hit. As I said, it's Kyle Collette, Nolan Siegel, Christian Lundgaard, Kiffin Simpson, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, David Malucas, Graham Rahal, Dennis Hauger, Alexander Rossi, Christian Rasmussen, Mick Schumacher, Marcus Armstrong and Stingray Robb, who are going to go out in this next session. The 12 minutes are set and ready to count down. Hopefully, we'll be go soon for 12 more minutes, and we'll see the combined times appear on our monitors up here in the comms box. Green flag. And we are underway for 12 more minutes of action here. And the cars will leave the pit lane. Let's go back over to Fox.
Well, we had quite a few headlines in this off-season, no smaller than this. Will Power to Andretti Global.
David Malucas replacing him at Team Penske in the 12. And of course, both manufacturers, Honda and Chevrolet, have renewed to stay with the series long term.
And this was a big one, the Freedom 250 coming August 23rd, the first ever IndyCar race, not just in Washington, D.C., but in the heart of the action around the National Mall. That is going to be a spectacle to be seen.
18 total races, 11 road and street, 5 ovals, 1 doubleheader weekend. That is how our 2026 season looks. And we cannot wait to bring it all to you here on FS2, FS1, and of course every single race in one place, and that is on Fox. There's Kyle Collette. AJ Foyt. last year in Indy Next. So far, just bedding himself in and adapting to his new surroundings. From Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Colette was 21st in that first practice run.
Ahead of his team. Oh, no, sorry. Where was Ferrucci? Ferrucci was 19, so just a little bit behind there. Ferrucci, but yeah, not far off. Ferrucci was at a 102.7. Colette also at a 102.7. Just 3 100ths between them, so a strong start for the rookie.
I like that a lot, and I like the fact that he got 18 laps in, as did fellow rookie Mick Schumacher at 20 laps. So that's great to see that Mick was effectively out as much as anybody. Another 20-lap runner was Marcus Ericsson, but that's what you want as a rookie is laps, time on track.
Let's talk about this team, ECR. A lot of investment made over the winter, and in talking to Rossi and Rasmussen in the off-season, there's a real confidence from both drivers. Rasmussen, of course, who took his first win in 2025. Such an exciting and energizing driver for this championship. But Rossi, who hasn't won now in a number of seasons, moved to ECR. The objective was rebuild the team. They think they found something, and testing went really well.
They think they found something well, not just at one type of racetrack, at multiple types of racetracks. And, you know, we saw this big investment come in last season. Ted Geloff and Heartland group there. You see Splenda, Java House on those cars. And as we all know, it doesn't happen overnight. So we didn't maybe see it as big a gain in 2025 as maybe some people were expecting. But everybody on the team knew it was going to take a bit of time. This offseason, 6 months, it's long, but it's a great opportunity for a team to really refine some processes and procedures, maybe bring some people in, maybe attack some of the issues that have been plaguing them and holding them back. And right now, it's starting to show.
Rasmussen goes to P1, and I think outside of the technical bits at ECR, I also love that they organized their own combine for recruiting athletes, much like NASCAR teams do, to come in and try out, audition for a chance to go over the wall and service the car on a pit stop. Ted Geloff comes from a football background, a football player at Purdue, and so he understands opening up the universe of athletic potential to improve his organization.
We've seen that in NASCAR. Do you think that will transition over here? If a team like ECR starts it, you think others will follow?
Absolutely, and it's not just with the personnel. I know they're using some data analytic technology also from the NASCAR world to optimize every little granular detail of their pit stop performance. So that's really where I think you could measure year-over-year pit stop performance. Is time on pit lane for ECR is a number I'll be watching closely. Not as close, though, as Rasmussen just came to the wall at the exit of turn 10.
Rasmussen back to the top, 101.4.
Let's take a look at this again. We saw something similar out of Malucas. That's over exiting 9 with a kiss. And we saw it similar in turn 10 on the other side of the car. So, but still, how about Kiffin Simpson? 3/10 quicker. So Rasmussen is driving wall to wall. What was Kiffin Simpson doing to find 3/10 on the 21?
It's an impressive lap there for Kiffin compared to the ones we've seen so far. That driver, here we are in that beautiful Sunoco livery.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Nice throwback, very Mark Donahue. It's great to see those colors back in IndyCar racing, and you know this driver made some big progress in 2025. Got his first podium on the streets of Toronto, and really wants to take that big step up. Says that top 10 in the championship is not just a goal; it's necessary. It has to happen. Close to making it happen last season. Kind of lost a little bit of ground late in the year, but he's motivated, he's dedicated, put in a lot of work in the offseason, trying to just hone his craft, find some areas to improve, and you know, he's with one of the best organizations, got 2 of the best as teammates, 10 championships between his teammates, so he's got great people to learn from.
And he's found a way to find high horsepower, high downforce cars to access during the long IndyCar offseason. You know, a lot of drivers, I don't know, pick Joseph Newgarden. I don't think he drove a single thing for 5 or 6 months. Meanwhile, Kiffin Simpson over in Europe, I believe he was in some F2 cars, some other vehicles as well, making sure his skills are sharp. and it's showing.
So the three drivers who started this session on the soft, no surprise to see them in the top 3 positions. Simpson, Rasmussen and Lundgaard. Palou, Armstrong, Robb and Rossi have just changed onto the soft tyre as well.
The Sultan of Sketch Factor right here over in turn 4.
And you almost Scandi-flicked into turn 5. I mean, you've got so much oversteer and then just so much weight at the back of these Indy cars. That momentum it carries when you make that quick change of direction to turn 5 can kick you loose immediately. But we know this kid's got car control for days.
The Scandi Sultan of Sketch, is that his new name? Triple S. Triple S.
From the top rope.
I think Jack is down on Finland.
I've got to say, lads, I really have quite missed Townsend's ability to turn the phrase. And as we're watching the Norwegian nightmare, Dennis Hauger, the 2025 Indy Next champion, he's just come back out. He's on the used harder tyre. They'll get to their red run here in a little bit later on. But Dennis is so talented, and for a guy who's coming in as a rookie, I've never seen anybody put in so much prep and hard work. Talking with Dale Coyne, not only his strategist, but also the team owner, he was just singing this young man's praises, and got to be a guy who we're going to watch all season long with massively keen interest.
It's an interesting update from Jack there. You may be wondering, well, how can they wait much longer? There's only 5 minutes left in the session. Don't forget, folks, and if you're new to IndyCar this year, the rookies get to run both of these final sessions at the end of practice. So Dennis doing this one on the hard, little lock up on the right front and deep off. But he will take part in the second session, and will likely run his softs in.
But with the risk of sprinkles, I wonder why would you not just put your rookie on the softs right now to make sure that you get some rub in? What are you thinking in your head?
Because you got to go for glory. The track's going to be better in the second session. You got to try to be as fast as possible. Nature of the beast. It's funny though, you see, I mean, most of the drivers are out there on the softs. To see Siegel and Schumacher still out there on the hards. But you look at who's up top. And Hauger, of course, but you look at who's up top. Simpson, Armstrong, Rasmussen, Lundgaard, some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
You see Dixon a little bit further down, Rahal a little bit further down. So this young guard is really getting up to speed quickly.
What I really find interesting, though, guys, is this soft is not immediately gripping in. It's not giving them that immediate boost that we would expect to see. The fact that Siegel on the hard is still mixing it in the midst of the soft runners, it tells you everything you need to know, given where he finished that first session.
Excited to see how Armstrong finishes this lap, because it looked super sporty. Is it quicker? No. Goes purple, though, in Sector 3.
Yeah, personal best in Sector 2, so just off in Sector 1.
Faster than anybody there in the third sector. As we take a look at that weather graphic, the wind's picking up a little bit, humidity.
It's looking a little darker in the background there.
81%. James, you got a truck practice.
I know.
One and only coming up real soon.
And straight into qualifying. I really wanted to stay dry.
I actually think it's an advantage for you, though.
I know you do.
Because you're track-rich, truck-poor, so if you keep the truck-rich guys track-poor, you keep them pinned down a little bit.
Maybe. That's a theory. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Psych up, man. They got a big weekend here.
Big weekend. Big weekend.
I'm going to be up on that truck with you tomorrow.
I love that.
When you're in victory lane.
I'm up in the booth to call it.
I'm going to be running.
Yeah.
Be running like a relative.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Make sure you embrace me when I get there.
Of course. I see a red flag out. Oh, big accident.
And that's Scott Dixon.
That's turn 9.
Oh, boy. And we've seen this. We almost know why this happened, but I don't see any damage to the right front. Oftentimes, that's the crash. Is
that's
slipping.
100%. He just has to brush. He just has to brush the apex wall right here. The smallest amount.
He's on stickers. You can see there's nowhere to the right front. So did he touch, or did it just push unexpectedly on cold tires? But that is a massive hit.
Let's take a look. Only one way to find out. Yeah. Oh, he oversteered going in.
Yes.
Overcorrected and then straight in the wall, and Malucas just getting through.
Oh, man.
Oversteering on the exit. That's a bad one there. And the red flag has come out.
Kept it driver's right, leaving that car width, but
Little Dave found a little gap, just barely.
Oh, that one hurts.
That's going to be a lot of work for the PNC crew.
And for the 6-time champion, this is one of, statistically, his least good circuits. Never had a pole here, never had a win here.
Whoa!
But what can Jimmy Hinch do this weekend?
I'm going to go hand paint a little, an LIL.
Little Jimmy Hinch. Little Jimmy Hinch.
Come on.
Wait.
So the red flag comes out then after a crash. And we'll get the cars all repaired out here now on the circuit. Hopefully it's not going to take too much longer before needing to head out there on the circuit. It's not exactly 100% a big one. It's just an unfortunate one, I think, is the safest bet to call it about what's happened out there. Oh, it was not one that was needed. I can tell you that though right now. That's going to cause a lot of problems for the field at the worst possible moment as well. Right when the session was just a couple of minutes away from being over. The accident just pops everything out and bang. But at least he's okay and out of the car. And the repair work can now begin. And hopefully we can get this session restarted quite soon. And a little bit of time under the red flag. That's to be expected though, really, isn't it? Oh, what on earth is happening here? So we'll just wait to see what is happening next. When that green light is going to head out onto the field to restart this session with 2 minutes left on the clock. As a little heads up for you all. So we still do have time remaining here, despite the red flag being out now for 11 minutes in this total session. It's barely nothing anymore, is it? They've dealt with it all before. We're just having a few issues with our stuff up here in the booths that we're trying to fix out on. So, apologies for having to move things around a bit. As we now will pop back over. And hopefully join up with the Fox squad again. You can hear the event.
The stricken car of Scott Dixon is carted back to pit lane. His day done. An uncharacteristic error bringing his session to an early halt. This then a replay of what happened. Did he get any of the barrier on the inside?
I think, James, you called it. I think he just was a little loose on entry. There was a little hoppity-hoppity at the back end of the car. I don't think he clipped that inside wall. I think it was just oversteer and it snapped kind of a high side, like a MotoGP high side at the apex, and it squared up and heavy into the fence. This guy, Malucas, so lucky to find room through.
Yeah, I mean, if the car hadn't ricocheted off the wall quite as hard, I'm not sure that 12 would have been able to get around him. That could have been a pretty serious accident as you look at the few tracks on the schedule that we've run that Chip Ganassi, Scott Dixon has not won at. Here, Barber, and Portland. And look at that. Second 5 times here, 6 times at Barber without a win. So it's not like he struggles at these tracks. He just hasn't managed to get the win.
That's why I said less good. Yeah. Because bad's not the right word for it.
Less great.
Yeah, less great.
But don't you think it would be fair if we, in that little black section at the bottom, we filled it in and said, by the way, 6-time champion?
Yeah, by the way, 6-time.
Keep in mind, Barber and St. Pete come early in the season, right? So Scott Dixon's always been a master at understanding the big picture, whether in the moment on the racetrack or in the championship battle. And it doesn't surprise me that he takes what he can get early in a championship run and doesn't force it.
And remember last season, at this race, he was in position to win before he lost his radio. That led to a little bit of a miscommunication with the final stop. And had he been in full contact with the crew, he very well could have won this race.
His teammate, Kevin Simpson, is still quickest in this session, a 101.178. So it's not all looking glum for Ganassi, and they will be able to take a lot of learnings from that.
And his teammate Alex Palou, P2, and the technical partnership with Meyer Shank Racing in P3 in the hands of Marcus Armstrong. So that organization kind of picking up where they left off in a lot of ways.
David Malucas, 5th fastest, on a 1.4 in that 12 car. We'll head back out on track.
So in this split group format, the first red flag freezes the clock. You see that 2:34 now left on. If there's a second red flag, it keeps running and time will be done. You get one get out of jail free card in each of these group sessions at the end. So they've used their mulligan now, T-Bell. They got to keep it clean.
I usually use my mulligan on the first tee.
Breakfast ball.
And it doesn't get any better from there.
Graham Rahal, the race winner on these streets, of course. Feels like a lifetime ago, but has always enjoyed coming here.
Was the youngest winner in history at the time. That was a record he lost to Cole Herta a few years back at Circuit of the Americas. But Graham, like you say, I mean, this team has put a lot of effort into this offseason. Huge hirings, changing the way they go about things, adding Mick Schumacher to the lineup. It's kind of I don't want to say make or break. The team's not going anywhere, but it is time to perform. They're running out of excuses, and I think Graham would be the first to admit.
Well, but they've reset the table so many times with this team over the last 15 years. But that's what you have to do if you're not successful. Look at Brian Barnhart coming over from the McLaren team. Strategist now for Graham Rahal. That's a voice that Graham Rahal has heard for probably most of his life. Brian Barnhart's been in the sport forever. Former crew chief of Al Unser Jr. back in the day. Became president of INDYCAR competition.
The difficulty, though, with doing that reset every winter is when you look over at that 10 crew, the recipe remains the same. Every member on that team unchanged again.
And there's so much value in that, right? But if it's not working, you can't be consistently ineffective. So I understand the mentality in RLL, which is, hey, we've got to keep moving the chess pieces around. I mean, this team knows how to win races. Know how to win a championship with Bobby Rahal at the wheel back in the day when they were a very, very young team, back in '92, I believe it was. So there's an expectation and a pedigree for winning at Rahal Letterman.
Guys, there's a real excitement this year as well with the arrival of Mick Schumacher, but also their rookie from last year, Louis Foster, who got a pole position, and they expect to come on in leaps and bounds this year, particularly in terms of his race management.
I think there's a lot to come from young Louis Foster. He improved so much over the course of the season. We saw some pretty obvious struggles early on, but then he really picked it up. And it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. But, you know, we talk about some of the additions to this team. I mean, Gavin Ward over the offseason, who had previously been with McLaren.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. He took a few seasons off, didn't hear much from him, and then re-emerged in the RLL fold, which is a huge gain.
Just watching Mick Schumacher here, he's hustling the car. But if there's one thing I notice is he leaves a lot of margin to the walls right now. I think that's a good idea for your first time at St. Pete on a Friday. So he's driving at and over the limit, but he's leaving himself a nice little buffer left to right. That'll have to close up if he's going to factor in qualifying tomorrow.
As Schumacher improves to his personal best, stays 13th at 102.8. It's Simpson, Palou, Armstrong, your top three, all CGR-backed drivers.
One down, one to go. Practice one, we're now into practice 1C coming up. And looking so good. As hopefully we're going to have a very interesting session. And hopefully everyone's doing okay. Dantron saying Mick Schumacher has a lot to learn when round 2 comes up. I agree. Marcel saying go car Colette. Dantron saying Kiffin holds the fastest time with 2 minutes remaining. That was earlier on in the session. Morning Sam says, hey guys, hope you're well. IndyCar is back. Thank you for the sentiment, but I'm not well. I'm fighting a lot of things wrong with me at the moment, which isn't nice as things stand, but I'm getting there, don't you worry about me. I'll make it there before we get to the end of the season. But yeah, hopefully all going well, actually. Just loading up, making sure that our screens are all set to go, because well, we've got to make sure they're all clippity-clop ready. It looks like they are, which is great news. And we are good to go for the session as the green lights go on and we go underway. Personally looking forward to seeing what's going to go on. Let's head back over then to Fox as we get the second session go here with another 12 minutes on the clock. You can just hear more work going on down there as well, down there for Scotty Mack. Driver's ready to go. So this session will see O'Ward, Kirkwood, Rosenquist, Collette. Will.
Well, biggest moment of this practice session and of this very first session of the season. Scott Dixon, 6-time champion, into the wall and out of the session. David Malucas, newly signed at Penske, making it through just about unscathed. But a big moment for Scott Dixon, and he is standing by with Georgia.
And he's been seen and released. He's out of the IndyCar medical unit. Scott, ultimately, what led to that?
Yeah, kind of a frustrating one. The typical, I think, MO for that corner is you clip the inside. For me, I got loose on entry, tried to save it, and then kind of got into a bit of an overcorrection, and then luckily it...
We've kind of lost that signal coming through at the moment, so we're trying to get it back with 11 minutes to go. Hopefully,
and then it looks like, you know, the CGR cards were really quick in that one too, so...
Yeah, there's Fox have a signal issue at the moment. And it's back now.
Tomorrow morning, obviously, you know, having good cars here, I think, out of the gate was definitely key. And then, you know, the teammates have been doing a good job too, so we'll be able to learn off that.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Scott.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
The team really does have a good car. Simpson fastest, Pelot second quickest, and then Marcus Armstrong in the MSR, backed by CGR team, third. Jack.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, standing with Kiffin Simpson, fastest in your group. Great way for the team to unload here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're feeling strong at the end of the day. I mean, to start off, I wasn't so sure, but as we kept running and I got more comfortable with, you know, the different repaved sections of the track and the tires, the way the tires are this year, and I just felt really comfortable. And when we got on those reds, it just felt super strong. So yeah, I think we're in a good place, and if we can find more, we'll try to find more. But ultimately, yeah, we're in a good spot.
Great work, man. Kevin.
David Malucas has finished as we see Louis Foster's car into the barriers. Let's chat with David real quick. First official day with Team Penske. I know you've tested, you've been with the team for a little while, but that's a bit of a milestone. Does it feel a little bit different?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it feels good, though. We did a lot of practice coming up to this point, pre-season, and then Sebring and Phoenix, so I feel very good. You know, I'm already comfortable. It's just the most comfortable I've ever felt, already starting the season, very confident, so car feels good, we're happy, and I'm really excited for this weekend.
We always want to know what the softs are going to be, and it's a new strategy this year because you must run them twice in the race. You had a little bit of a lockup on them. Did that kind of end the learning process for you there, or did you get enough out of it to have a sense?
Yeah, I mean, our issue is actually just we ended up having so much traffic, so we couldn't build a brake temp, hence we were having the locking and such, so we actually had to do a rerun on our reds, so a lot of our data was going off of a second run, which it's going to be a little bit of a question mark, you know, going for qualifying, but at least for the race, we did a rerun, and it seems to stay up to pace, so it's not too bad, but the grip level, I mean, it's a lot more. We have a lot more grip on these reds, so qualifying is going to be a massive jump on the lap time.
All right, thanks, David.
Thank you.
So Louis Foster getting out of his car, which we saw in the barrier just a moment ago. And it's the final corner. He just set the fastest final sector, but gets the braking wrong.
And this, I mean, it's so close to what we saw Malucas do. Malucas just able to slow it up enough to stay off the grass, because you can see there's not a lot of room from the end of the pavement to the tire barrier. So once you hit that grass, it's almost inevitable you're going to end up in the barrier, just getting in a little bit hot on cold tires into turn 13. So easy to do.
And that's front wing gone. That's left front suspension gone. That's Louis Foster's session gone. Under red flag, we'll be back to St. Pete.
Straight into the barrier, just like what we saw coming out there for Joseph Newgarden. It's getting worse out here as well, unfortunately, for this evening's action. There's going to be a lot of drivers, I think, needing to hurry up to go forward. 25 drivers this season, of course, not the 27 we usually have. We'll see more, of course, enter the Indy 500. Get maxed out at 33 for that one, as that front nose cone and front right has been properly knocked off for the 45 of Louis Foster. As the boys were saying, just straight off into the paddock. Doesn't really know what you want to do next, do you? So 10 minutes to go, and that has now brought out the red flag. So this is session suspended. It'll take a while for the cars to sort of loop back before going out again. And hopefully, just hopefully, means we'll get this green flagged out soon. There is Stingray Rob, 24 years old. Just talking with his engineer on the pit wall there, as the 45 cars continue to get resurged. Red flag out again here. You just can't catch a break, it seems, in the first session of the year. So much more coming up on INDYCAR, on JB Motorsports this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Combined times puts Simpson at the top, from Palou second at the moment. It's on the red tyres at the moment as well for the first session. Getting well done, Marcus Ericsson, powered by the Honda. Honda staying in INDYCAR, they've committed full term.
We've got a huge top 10 showdown on Fox College Hoops as third-ranked Michigan looks to keep their dominant season rolling against number 10, Illinois, tonight at 8 Eastern, only on Fox. Oh, Hinch, you're a dog, man.
Got the eye protection, got the ear protection. That's a good boy. He's having a good time at the racetrack. Or she, I'm not sure. But that's a good dog.
That's a good dog.
Doesn't seem to be bothered, but I don't think my dogs would tolerate that kind. Well, certainly one of them would. Got the
and the shoes
too. Man, the pavement can get hot around here. I respect this. This is a good program.
Got the fit down.
Yeah.
Not a lot of running before we got the red flag. Carl Kirkwood fastest with a 105.8. Not really representative, as nobody really got their tyres up to temperature before Louis Foster stuffed it into the barrier at the final turn. Big damage to that. We just saw them pull it out of the tyre barrier while we were on commercial break. The left front suspension completely shorn. Front wing completely obliterated. Game over.
A little surprised to see, not that I've seen anybody on a soft tire here just yet, leaving the pits with 9:50 left. They've got time to do a kind of a fake Baker lap. It's not qualifying yet, but build brake temperature. There's a soft tire car. That's Will Power, I believe, that just rolled out of frame. So we'll keep an eye on the 26.
Yeah, sometimes you want to just go out, get some heat in the brakes, get the car warming back up. Remember, these cars have been sitting for that 12-minute session. So you just kind of go out, get the car a bit warmed up before you put those softs on to really go for the ultimate lap. Will opting to just get on with it. But in some ways, like you say, replicating what you do in qualifying with that banker lap.
He didn't look super competitive in the first phase of practice on the harder tire. I believe he was something like 14th at the time after that first run was completed. But now he goes to the softer Firestone. And we'll see if he can put some of the data that he undoubtedly studied during the break. But that's good work, and it comes right with another front lockup, and that happened to Will, didn't it, early in the session?
It's just saying how sometimes one of the keys of doing that lap or two on the hards is to get the brakes warm, and there's a chance that
he's going to have to Austin Powers that back.
But is this a guy like Scott Dixon that is used to a soft tire at St. Pete being much more ready to go than what we're seeing this year?
It's a really interesting question, Townsend. You think
track temp, Will, is like 79 degrees. That's another issue. It is not very warm out there.
If they're used to a tire that immediately gets into its window after one warm-up lap, and then they go down into that turn one, there isn't the purchase that they're expecting.
See a little bit of concern there from Ron Rzuski and Dan Tauris, team owner in the backdrop. There's Mario Andretti looking on.
Mario Andretti, of course, Dan Tauris, who runs the Cadillac Formula One team, they will name their debut Formula One car after Mario Andretti. It will be dubbed MAC. That's the designation of the car, which stands for Mario Andretti.
very cool tribute to the legend. There is Dan Tauris, CEO of TWG Motorsports, primary owners of the Cadillac F1 squad. And, you know, this Andretti Global INDYCAR team, Andretti FE team, and originally the F1 team started
as Andretti
before the pivot with GM joining and Cadillac branding coming on board. So very cool touch to kind of keep with some of the lineage of the story there, with Mario being the honorary named.
I love it.
Kind of named after him.
As if we needed a reminder of who the Mac was, the Mac daddy of the sport. Mario bringing the Mac to F1. I love it. He deserves every bit of that credit. And it was instrumental in helping Dan Tauris and Cadillac secure that opportunity.
New name to the top, and it's Romain Grosjean. 102.847, has a pole position around this track, came so close to victory around this track in a side-by-side with Scott McLaughlin that saw them both end up in the barriers. Heartbreak for them both, but particularly for Romain Grosjean, who saw that first and still yet to come victory in IndyCar just go through his fingers.
You know, Townsend, you mentioned the track temperature a little bit earlier being cooler than normal with this cloud cover, 79.5 degrees. Oh, little contact there, out of 9, the same amount that we've seen a couple times and guys get away with. That looks a little harder.
A little heavier.
But it doesn't seem to have slowed him down. He's still hustling into turn 10, using everything on the exit of 10. Let's see the lap time here to the, that was Kirkwood to the top.
101.1 from Kirkwood. That compares very favorably with what we saw from Kiffin Simpson. I think was also a 101.1, but Kirkwood just slightly quicker by just 1/1000th of a second, I believe. So Kirkwood and Andretti showing the pace. That puts a little pressure now, Will, on Will Power, who just went long there in the brake zone for turn 1 to figure out how to match Kirkwood or even get close.
Yeah, still not a representative time on the board from Will Power, 105.582. He's pushing on now, though, on the soft tyre, trying to get the power down. Coming to the end of his lap. 9th as it stands. Knows his way around this circuit. You'd have to say probably better than anyone.
Yeah, but he's got Felix Rosenquist there in that Tom Petty Sirius XM car, as Will Power can only go 7th. That's 0.8 off Kirkwood.
It was a scrappy lap. I think he can put together better. He's going to go do another one. Newgarden boxed as soon as he finished his lap. But it's interesting looking at the lap times. Just want to go back to that track temp. Like I said, considerably cooler than we're used to seeing. But if we go back to last year, FP1, with the Reds, which we know are different this year, they're a bit harder this year. Kyle Kirkwood was quickest a year ago in this session at a 1:04. So even with track conditions being essentially better, cooler is better when you're talking track temp at this range. The fact that the softs are running that much slower tells me and tells the team that these are quite a bit harder than the alternate tire we saw last year.
And I think we were discussing this during commercial break, but they have to run 2 sets of that soft tire now during street races in 2026. They don't have to be new softs. can be old, but you have to run 2 sets of that soft minimum on street tracks in 2026.
And just like that, Scotty Mac. We got Daddy Mac and we got Scotty Mac. Scotty Mac goes to the top at a 1-1-1. And if there's one driver from the 26 drivers we talked to in the preseason meetings, I came away pretty sold on Scotty Mac's kind of fierce focus, determination,
steely,
laser-like obsession with making this a serious championship run. And so far, James, the body of work in 50 minutes of practice is looking pretty convincing.
It's looking promising. I'm liking the approach here. He's done that one fast lap. He backed off for a lap. Like we said, Newgarden did his fast lap, pitted immediately. McLaughlin did the fastest lap, has done a kind of a cool down lap. So he's done a prep lap, a hot lap, a cool down lap, and maybe going for another push lap. So this is going to be interesting to see. Can these alternates hang on for another flyer, another push lap? It looks like he's cruising. Looks like he might be coming in. Yeah. Never mind then. Just doing a cool down lap for the sake of doing a cool down lap, it looks like.
It's going to be interesting to find out how many warm-up laps they think it's going to take to get these tires into their optimum window.
Looks like at least 2 flyers, I'd say, to get them primed. A lot's going to depend on what happens tomorrow in terms of weather, because once the sun pops here, the 78-degree track temp that we see right now could easily go to 115 with cloud cover breaking.
Grosjean has improved up to a 101.7 to go 7th. Rinus VeeKay is 5th. Felix Rosenqvist is 4th. Ericsson and Kirkwood 3rd and 2nd for Andretti and McLaughlin. To the top, there is the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers car of Rosenqvist. Bit of a slide out of there, continuing their Sirius XM collaboration, and more bands to the fore. Felix Rosenqvist, and I'm going to say it at the start of the weekend, won't back down. Down to Kevin.
Kev Rosenqvist is coming to the box, and they'll probably ask him, how's the car? And he's going to say, I'm free.
Why is he? Well, one other thing I noted is that Romain Grosjean has climbed out of his car, so he did that quick lap, but they have an issue, and I did hear a question of let's check the engine. No, not necessarily that's the problem, but they're going through and looking into data and trying to determine what the problem is. But the number 18 Dale Coyne car has to stop a little bit early, and Romain Grosjean's returned to IndyCar after a year away. He's back where he had so much success his first time here in 2021.
He is indeed, and he's back on familiar territory, but it still feels, he was telling me yesterday, a little unfamiliar. They've changed so many people there since last he raced there, but he's excited to be back in the car. Of course, was reserve driver for Prema last season. And folks, you may recognize, of course, that we are down a team compared to last year as we welcome back Romain Grosjean. 64 career IndyCar starts from 2021 to 2024. I remember him best from his time in Europe, of course, racing Formula 1, before that in GP2. Returns to Dale Coyne for the first time since 2021. And as we said, last year was that reserve driver at Prema. We had all, I guess, in IndyCar hoped that Prema would make it back for the start of this season. As we understand it, they are hoping to make it to start their season a little bit later this year. But a shame not to see them on the track this year. A tough first season, but that pole at the Indianapolis 500 for Robert Schwartzman and the team. The first time in Indy 500 history that a debut team and debut driver had ever taken pole for the greatest spectacle in racing. Kevin.
One of the big questions I had is how quickly can Will Power adapt to a new situation? He's joining a team in Andretti that is fantastic on street races. He's as fast as anyone ever, 9 poles at this place. But he just said a few moments ago, the car is just impossible. He's not happy with how it is right now. And we see he was 11th on the chart in this session.
It looks like he's struggling on the brakes, guys. I mean, we obviously saw that moment into turn 1, but then I saw that other lockup into turn 10. I saw him trying to warm the brakes on one of his prep laps through the kink on the back straight. I wonder if maybe there's something just on the left pedal that he's struggling with, not giving him the feedback that he needs, the comfort that he needs. And you know what it's like, T-Bell. When you hit the brakes, the car doesn't talk to you immediately. I mean, that's the first input you're giving it going into a corner. If it's disconnected there, everything else is a huge struggle.
Yeah, but the good news is for Will Power is his teammate Kyle Kirkwood and Marcus Ericsson, both those Andretti cars looking very, very sporty at a 101.1. And Rosenquist also doing a great job there to be in second. So Ganassi, Penske, no surprise there. Andretti, the top three again so far today.
Top three teams doing what the top three teams do best. There you can find on the right-hand side where you will find everything tomorrow here on the streets of St. Petersburg. We will be back for NTT INDYCAR practice on FS1 at 9:30 Eastern. INDYCAR next practice precedes us at 8:30. INDYCAR qualifying tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 Eastern.
Well, what a session we have witnessed. It's Scott McLaughlin fastest. This is the combined times. From Felix Rosenquist, Carl Kirkwood, Kiffin Simpson, Marcus Ericsson, Alex Palou, Marcus Armstrong, Christian Rasmussen, David Malucas, Christian Lundgaard has the top 10 combined. Then we get Renus Vike, Pato O'Ward, Roman Grosjean, Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Satina Ferrucci, Dennis Hauger, alongside Will Power, Graham Rahal, Nolan Siegel, Alexander Rossi, Louis Foster, Mick Schumacher, Kyle Collette and Stingray Robb. That's the 25 on the board after this session. We will be back then for all of the action in just a couple of moments' time as the NASCAR Craftsman's Truck Series head out here at St. Petersburg for their practice and qualifying session. And also we'll be live from the Circuit of the Americas for the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and their practice and qualifying. I know, it gets confusing, doesn't it? But next week, it's all in one place, non-stop, as well as Formula One. We're going to be quite busy in a week's time when NASCAR and INDYCAR team up at Phoenix. And also we'll have Formula 1, Formula 2 and Formula 3 kicking off as well. Just to remind you, MotoGP coverage this weekend is going to be on JBMotorsports 2. And then it will be a collaboration between JB Motorsports, so you can watch it live on JB Motorsports 2, and later on we'll see it on the JB Motorsports channel as well. We'll be back in an hour's time. It's Scotty Mac, fastest in practice one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later on. Take care. Bye bye.